We took the boy to Lake Tobias. And for those of you who don't know, Lake Tobias is it's kind of like a zoo slash interactive outdoor. They have like, I think one indoor thing maybe, but it's mainly all outdoor, kind of walk around at your own pace, kind of zoo slash quote unquote, what they call it, safari experience. It resides in the middle of Halifax, PA, a town that has that, Lake Tobias. I think they have like a rubber company there, and I think there might be like one other, I think there's a Subway. So with those three businesses, they're single-handedly keeping all of the people of Halifax, Pennsylvania employed, and there's not much else there to do. So once you go up and down the mountain, if you survive, okay, 9 times out of 10, you typically can survive the drive up and down the mountain into Halifax. But sometimes, like on our way back, you don't survive, okay? We survived, but the people that were on the other side of the street with the cops and all the flashing lights, they got into an accident because they don't know how to drive up and down mountains. So once you're done crossing, climbing, and going down the freaking mountain as if you're like, you know, Gandalf and Frodo trying to get the ring to Mordor, you enter Halifax. And of course, you know, like there's a McDonald's, there's a Subway, there's a Verizon. I think they have a Verizon Wireless and a few diners and a few ice cream places. And that's kind of it. There is a grocery store, I think, and Lake Tobias. So we went to Lake Tobias. And I mean, let's be honest, Lake Tobias, we could easily step it up a bit. Okay. Not a terrible price to get in. All right. That's where one area where I'll give them props on. They did not, what I felt like robbed us. I think it was maybe like $17 each. I think it was $17 for me, Megs, and the boy. And so, you know, ended up like what, $50 or something. Yes, it wasn't crazy. Sandy was trying to get us to go to a zoo in like Baltimore, Maryland or something that was like $50 a purse, not like for the whole family. So fair prices there. But you know, it's fun. Listen, they remodeled it. It's new. There's new stuff that there wasn't before when we were kids. But you know, the bears only ones doing stuff. The black bears that we saw as soon as we walked in were the only ones doing stuff. John got like an emu ostrich thing to poke some food out of his hand. That was kind of cool. But other than that, the bears were the only animals, like they were rolling around. The one was like digging a hole. Ollie thought it was real cool to watch the bear dig a hole. But, you know, honestly, Ollie really just wanted to go play in the bear's water pool. Like, so Ollie was okay. He didn't really, listen, he didn't like it. He was scared of all the animals. The fish were like his biggest hit. As soon as we got there were like some koi fish in like the water surrounding the bear's enclosure. And we stood there and watched the fish swim around for a few minutes because it looked like Nemo. And so we kind of liked the bear. We watched the bear dig a hole. And then, but every other animal was either sleeping or not doing anything. And I mean, like, I guess this is just the anatomy, the epitome of zoos now, right? The animals have realized it's been 20 to 30 years. They're not getting back into the wild. They're stuck in these cages. They know the food schedule. It's annoying. Here's me and my family. My son's over here screaming, throwing rocks at the animals. You know what I mean? Like, so they're miserable. And so all they want to do is sleep. Now, I don't know what Lake Tobias and other zoos need to do to step it up. Like maybe, I don't know, like get a shock collar. Like, can we put a shock collar on the hyena that's sleeping? So like when I'm at the exhibit, I can just press a button on my phone, boosh, shock, wake it up, run around a little bit, do something. I don't know. Like what, like they have food, like you can give them like dog food for 25 cents or whatever. But like, you know, that's like, you know, they don't eat it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. We only saw one capybara in the distance and no other ones. we're kind of just in like this mode now where we're kind of tired of paying entry fees to not see animals do shit. You know what I mean? Like you go to Zoo of America at Hershey, and it's like, where's all the wolves? There's a couple out. They're sleeping. They're sunbathing. They're not doing much. There's a wolf. You know what I can do for free at home? Look at a picture of a wolf. Not take one myself. Like you're paying to take photos of a wolf sleeping. I mean, if that's exciting to you, that's cool. But, so listen. So then, of course, we had to do the safari tour. Everyone who goes to Lake Tobias has to do the safari tour. We did the safari tour. When I was a kid, you would be eating your chicken fingers under the little hut. They had one restaurant, and then the safari tour bus would pull up. And you could get on it. You could not get on it. It didn't matter. It was free, like I'm pretty sure. And then you just get on it, and then boom, you're on the safari tour. Now, in 2023, the safari tour at Lake Tobias is Hershey Park. There's a line. There's multiple gated rows. Like we literally went through we stood in line. We stood in line for like an hour. Like we were in line for the safari tour for probably like 30 to 40 minutes. Like it was a solid like roller coaster wait. I mean, now props to them. They had like, 4 or 5 buses rolling at the time. So, I mean, the line moves semi quickly, but I mean, still 45 minutes from when, back in my day, we just kind of hopped on with our chicken fingers and we were on the safari tour. Now there's a line. Now there's like a concession stand in line. Like it's a whole attraction now. And so, but that kind of is the same though. It's just a half cut off bus. And then you go around and, you see some animals. First up was this big dick donkey, literally. Like the first animal there to greet us was this I think South African donkey. So it's a bigger than a normal donkey, like just in overall size. It's kind of the size of a horse, maybe a little smaller than a horse. But like, I mean, he had that thing swinging at least an 18 to 20 inch hog on that guy, just swinging in front of the whole bus of families. And so that was fun. So we got to see that first up on the tour. And then, there were a few llamas. You see them on the way out. But 80% of the tour is all deer. And so, unfortunately, these types of deers, I think they were like the cousins to the whitetails, maybe. They were a few different types of deers. But most of the deers, when we went, it's the season of rutting. And if you don't know what that is, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. What's it called? Let me double check, because if I get it wrong, you'll roast me in the comments. What's it called when deers lose? I mean, shedding, right? Sheds. The dropped antlers are called sheds, and the process does not hurt the buck from spring through summer. The antlers grow back. Oh, it's just called shedding. Okay, it's just called shedding. So the bucks are shedding their antlers, right? And unfortunately, our tour was in the middle of it. We were in the middle of shed season, and like half the bucks' antlers, were just like had like dangly, like meat fleshy looking dangles of like bloody, like ruddy, like antler chunks of meat that they haven't lost yet. And it like just was like hanging off their antlers, kind of gross, but like some of the deer were cute, you know what I mean? And then everybody got excited. Everybody got excited once we went around the turn and we could see him up on the hill, so we knew it was coming. Everybody got excited for the elk. Everybody wanted to see the elk, because the elks are, these magnificent creatures that we don't get to see anymore. And so when everyone got to the elk station, like John was standing up, you know what I mean, feeding them. The one elk was directly at our seat, like in my son's face with his snobby mouth and its teeth that are made of ivory, which I didn't know. Learn that on the tour. Educational, okay? And, so like we were feeding the elk and like that was kind of cool. Like I kind of wanted them to be like, fighting with each other because I heard that's a fun scene to watch, but that didn't happen. And then of course we end up with the llamas. So the safari tour, you get to see some donkeys, some llamas, some deer. You get to see some elk. You get to see some bison. There were some bison that they then, inevitably turn into the bison burgers that you get at the concession stand. I didn't get one. Sandy did. I took a bite of it. It was gross. It tasted worse than a cafeteria cheeseburger. It kind of tasted like a frozen patty from Walmart. It wasn't a good burger. If you go there, just don't get the bison burger. Just don't do it. Here's the issue. And then also on the safari tour, we passed 2 other like animal exhibits. One was the giraffe. They just got a giraffe. That was kind of cool. We didn't unfortunately get to see him feeding on anything. Like they have like 3 times during the day they feed the giraffe. We didn't get to see it. But we did see the giraffe as we drove by. He was just laying down sleeping, like most of the other animals. The best freaking part about the safari tour is that we got to drive by their all new lion exhibit. And this lion exhibit sits right on the cusp, right on kind of the entrance / a little further into the entrance of the safari tour. And now in this exhibit, there is one big Mufasa Lion King looking lion. And I think like 2 other maybe like female lions are in there with him. And so this lion has to literally sit on a rock in his exhibit, in his cage, on a rock, overlooking the entire safari tour, full of deer, bison, cattle, a bunch of steaky, juicy, delicious things that he should be munching on. He should be out there on that 150-acre plot of land, making his next move, trying to hunt a deer for dinner. Or at least, I think, from my understanding, it's like the female's job to hunt the food. It's fine. But like, they have to sit there as these bitch-ass lions in a zoo and eat this, what is probably raw chunks of meat from wherever they get their meat supply from, in a bucket on a daily basis that some intern 17-year-old jackass kid drops off, when they've got to then sit there for the rest of the day while there's a juicy, delicious 10-point buck just staring him down only a few yards away, just taunting him, shaking his antlers at him, shaking his little booty tail at him, because the lion can't do anything about it. Meanwhile, there's a giraffe right beside the lion. I'm sure the lion would love nothing more than to eat that giraffe as well. Like, it was probably one of the best / worst decisions that they probably could have made at the Lake Tobias Zoo. Like, how upsetting, how depressed do you think that lion is just seeing a fucking full-grown buffalo bison, meaty as hell, lunch, breakfast, and dinner all day, every day, just walk past him? So, what's up, Larry? How you doing? Good. They just fed me out of the bucket again today. Yeah. Day 394, you're not getting this ass, is it, Larry? You know what I mean? Like, they probably just taunt each other. Like, something tells me it's not a Penguins of Madagascar, like, movie, DreamWorks. It might be their second only best movie that they've ever made from that studio type of situation. Like, you know what I mean? With the zebra and the Marty and the Chris Rock, the whole movie thing. Like, I don't think it's like that at the Lake Tobias Zoo.